Welcome to Age Potential TV. I'm Lori Campbell, your host, gerontologist, and advocate of your best life, here to introduce you to an emerging trend called Age Potential. Here's to living out your age potential. It's been said the saddest summary of life contains three descriptions: could have, might have, and should have. Living a regret-free life doesn't necessarily mean being without regret. Today on Age Potential TV, we will explore what living a regret-free life entails. Jack Cole is here to give his perspective. Welcome, Jack.
Thank you.
Nice to have you. You are 88 years young, and you have a passion for connecting people and organizing. You told me that you had to discover the world beyond your work. Yeah. What does that mean for you, and how did you do that?
Well, we realized there were many opportunities that had interested us. We retired at the same time. My wife and I retired at the same time. And so we did some research and decided to explore new things in many ways and take on more responsibilities than we had wanted to. When you retire, your time management skills are very important because you're going to have an extra 40 hours a week to manage. No one's going to be telling you what to do, but you'll have the freedom to say yes or no, or I'll pass, or whatever you want to say on that. And it gives you a chance to explore and dig into more of what you're interested in or trying some new kinds of things.
Wonderful. I bet you that's kind of exciting to be able to have more choice with your time.
That's right.
Yes. I love your analogy you told me about retirement. You said something like putting new wheels on.
I had heard a speaker from another country, and he said when he came to the United States, he heard people talking about retirement. And he said, in my country, retirement meant you put new tires on the old body of a car. So the same is true, at least for our case. We put new wheels on our body and went forward from there.
I like that. I do. Well, obviously, what are some things that bring you joy? So you had this extra time. What kinds of choices have you decided to do with your time?
With my time, well, I took a training course a few years ago to be a facilitator for advanced care directives. So adults our age, my age, could give a gift to their children and their family so that if they're not, or I'm not able to be conscious toward the end of my life, I have a health agent who's an advocate for me, and they will push for my best wishes. So it's not going to be up to a doctor. And the advantage of an advanced care directive is it's in my medical records. So if something happens at 2 in the morning, the emergency room will have that, and they can see what my wishes are.
Right.
I became a board member at a branch of the YMCA of the Twin Cities, and I completed 2 terms, which is the limit, this last May. And the executive committee asked, because of my interest and knowledge of the history of the organization and the contributions I made, I guess, they created a new position called a legacy board member. So I'll continue meeting with the executive committee and be on call to meet with the other 3 committees on that board.
Lovely. What did you do for your career most of your life, Jack?
Well, I had one organization, the YMCA. And I had worked for 4 different kinds of YMCAs on the local level, state level, and then across the country. So that I tried to be a bridge builder or connecting dots so we could learn to work with volunteers as well as the staff. And we were in business, and my last job is to help keep the YMCA organizations healthy.
So a lot of meaningful work, things that give you meaning, purpose, and kind of are your passions, in other words. Well, that's how you've chosen to create your life and still do.
Yes.
Do you have any regrets, Jack?
Well, sure, I have regrets in some of my past behavior. One of them is my job in my last 20 years was traveling a lot. So I missed a lot of meaningful episodes in our children's lives.
Okay.
And for a while, I was up here in Minneapolis for 6 months, but I flew back to East Lansing, Michigan every other weekend for that period of time. So I was able to keep in touch with them that way. But I know I missed a lot of the kinds of life-changing experiences they had.
Sure. Well, I don't think there's not one of us that don't have some type of regret.
That's right.
Exactly. And the reason why I ask you is that the Guardian News report did a survey among the people who were dying, and they came up with 5 top regrets that they had over their life. So I thought it might be fun for us to kind of get your perspective on these regrets. The first one, and they're in no particular order. I wish I had the courage to live a life true to myself, not the life others expected of me. Jack, have you ever felt like you've lived your life for someone else? And what's your tip to, avoid this regret?
Well, certainly when I was working 40, 50 hours a week, those expectations had to be met, and I was a part of developing those expectations, so it made it easier. They weren't dumped on me. So I was always fortunate enough to be a part of a group that we set our own goals and expectations. So that was a blessing I had. And the other kinds of things, I think that on the expectations, they're self-imposed sometimes. And people are afraid to start new things, feeling people will look at them or won't accept them. And I just take a risk, and then if it doesn't work out, then I learn something. So that's how I look at it.
Great perspective. Well, here's number 2. I wish I hadn't worked so hard.
Oh, well, certainly when my children were younger, I traveled a lot. But so I missed some of the baseball games and some of the diving events our girls were in, and sons playing baseball, softball, and touch football and those kinds of things. But we made it up by my being able to take the whole family, or sometimes one of our children, to a conference for youth. And when they got to the age where the participants in the conference were the same age as our kids, they've just melted in and gave them a whole new experience in another part of the country.
Sure. So you incorporated your personal with your business life.
Yes.
Yes, beautiful. Number 3, regret number 3. I wish I had the courage to express my feelings. We all sometimes, it's hard to be authentic. Does that get easier to show emotion and our feelings as you age?
Well, showing emotion, I can get tears in my eyes pretty quick. And I guess some men would say, oh, that's not being a man. Well, to me, that is being a man. If something touches me, I can tear up pretty fast. So I'm not afraid to express those kinds of emotions.
Regret number 4, I wish I had stayed in touch with my friends. How have you been able to keep nurturing your friendships and stay engaged as you do?
Well, we play bridge, and we've had attrition with 5 couples because they've died over the period of time.
All
so
5
we have
of your couple friends have passed away?
Well, one of the spouses has, and sometimes we work the surviving spouse in with a friend of theirs, and then they die too. So we're always trying to find younger friends. That's very important, I think. Younger to us is 60s and 70s.
Sure.
So that they're going to be here after we're gone.
Sure, sure. Those intergenerational relationships.
Yes, that's right.
Yes. Well, here's regret 5. I wish I had let myself be happier. That's the one that baffled me. How do you stay happy? What brings you happiness?
Oh, by getting up in the morning and knowing what I'm going to do today is going to be enjoyment, or fulfilling some responsibility I had, or responding to some questions people give me. One of the things I like to do it may create friendships. If I know someone and I know their interests, when I go online, I read a couple of the Times of London and the New York Times online. And so if there's articles in there that they're interested in, I just email them copies.
I know, you sent me an article. Wonderful, that's so thoughtful. It is. So we've been talking about the regrets of the dying. Let's talk about living.
Okay, good.
I want to hear your list, not of regrets, but a list of how do you live a passion-centered life, a life that's meaningful, purposeful like you're doing, Jack. What's your list?
Well, I think I enjoy learning new things and having a sense of awe. I got some feedback once from a person I had admired, and he said, I have a sense of awe like a child. So when I discover something, I'm kind of glad to hear it and try to weave it in my life. Now, some of that related to business, and some of it relates to living.
Wonderful. I love your insight, and I know you have a poem to share with us. Would you like to do that now?
Yes. This is out at a flower garden out at the Arboretum. And the family donated the flower garden and put this following 8-line poem. And they start out by saying, count your garden by your flowers. Really, I read it as count your life by your flowers. So it's count your garden by your flowers, never by the leaves that fall. Count your joys by golden hours, never when life worries call. Count your nights by stars, not shadows. Count your days by smiles, not tears. And every eve or morning, count your age by friends, not years.
What a lovely note to end. Thank you, Jack, for being here.
Glad to be here. Thank you.
There may be no perfect regret-free life, but you can live more intentionally, more conscientiously to create an authentic, purposeful, passion-filled life that brings you joy and contentment. If you want more life-enhancing messages like this, go to AgePotential.com and subscribe to Age Potential TV. See you next time.